Hey, TechKnowStuds. Your computer can have a lot of different stuff going on at the same time. It can have lots of different programs open, and within those programs, it can have a lot of different tasks that are operating all at the same time. So how does it keep track of all of this? Well, it keeps track of it through something called a process. So let's take a look at processes and what they do and what they look like. Let's say each one of these circles is software. And I don't know about you, but I often have lots of different software that's up on my computer running all at the same time. And something like Google Chrome, I'll have lots of different tabs open at the same time. So each one of these represents different software they have up on my computer. And then within there, this software might have many different programs going on at the same time. And maybe it's performing many different tasks at the same time. And so what we have here is we have a lot to keep track of. How does it keep track of each one of these tasks that are happening and keep them separate? Well, it keeps track of these through something called processes. So every time you open up a program, it will launch a new process, or perhaps many different processes for that program. So we have all of these processes that are lined up. Now, when something needs to be calculated or compiled or processed, what will happen is it will flag, and there's something that sits in between here called the scheduler. It will flag the scheduler and say, hey, I need to process this information. And the scheduler will then prioritize that process accordingly. And there's different processes have different priorities. So then it will put it in the queue to be processed by the CPU and then sent out on its way, whether it's going to return it back to the program or send it to some sort of device or whatever it is that it's being processed for. Now, it does need to keep track of all of these processes, so it gives it a number. And you could have thousands of processes opened up and running on your computer at any given time. But this process ID allows it to be able to identify certain processes. Let's take a look at what this looks like on a Windows machine. I'm going to open up my Windows here and type in Task Manager. And Task Manager looks a little different on the newer versions of Windows, but this gets us really close. I mean, it's got a lot of the same tabs. It's just on the left side instead. So what we see here is a couple categories. So we actually see apps. So there's our apps. And then we see background processes that are happening. And then here we have a few apps that are up and running. So like Task Manager is running, and I can open this up. There's only one task that's associated with each one of these. So these are the different processes that are running. And I can actually see a better view if I go into the details of this. And under the details, I see all of the processes that are running, and it actually has the process ID. So we can see all the process IDs that are associated with this. And I can sort by process ID. I'm going to sort in reverse order because now we see that there's 12,000, or at least the highest process ID number is 12,000 here. So I can also click back. I'll go back to this processes. I can also see the different usage that happens here. So if I click on the CPU, I can sort by the CPU usage from top to bottom, and I can see that Task Manager has the most amount of resources here. I'm going to open up another program so we can see it. In fact, I'm going to open up Chrome, and it comes up with what's new. Maybe I'm going to open up another tab. So I'm going to go to google.com and perhaps one more, maybe TechKnowSurge. So TechKnowSurge.com, and we'll go to that website. So I've got those up and running now, and let's take a look at the processes now that we've launched with Google Chrome. And let me sort by name so it doesn't keep adjusting on us. And we can see that here's an example of lots of different processes that are happening with just those 3 tabs here. And I probably could close out of a couple of these tabs, and we can see that the list gets a little bit shorter here. So that's an example of those processes that get launched. If I close out of Chrome entirely, then we see that they go away entirely.